Hi, friends. My name is Host Eric. I'm the host of Talking with Famous People and your personal hero. That's right. You may not have realized it, but I'm your personal hero, the purveyor of wisdom and truth in your life. That's me, Host Eric. And today, I decided arbitrarily to disagree with Frank James. I haven't thought of why yet, but since Frank James says don't let your kids take the MBTI test, I'm saying yes, make them take it. Compel them to take it. Um, and then after that, force them to be their type their whole life. No, you're an INTJ. You can't do that. I want those to be your messages from that point forward. It's the best way to raise children. You tell them what type they are and then force them to be that type the rest of their life. Hey, Broccoli Todd. I'm giving wise parenting advice today. I will indicate the following. I mistyped my daughter for years and didn't seem to hurt her any. Parenting is basically a strategy. Parenting is just loving your child. That's all it is. It's having a relationship with another human being. That's all it is. And it's a particularly great one. You know, my relationship with my daughter is so fantastic. I just can't get over it. She was here yesterday evening for Father's Day, and she's such a great daughter, and it's really nice. Well, your parents should be two steps ahead of their peers in what? I mean, there's infinite things you could be steps ahead or behind of in. Um, but the reason Delilah and I have such a great relationship, in part, is because we're both FI polar, which means neither of us really think about each other much until there's a reason to. And we don't feel sad that, like, I never go like, why didn't Delilah call me? I am more likely to go, oh shit, I should call Delilah. FI polar parent, FI polar child, it's really easy. Yes, Cloud, force them to, no matter what. We're disagreeing with Frank James today. I don't want you on Frank James's side, Cloud. You have to pick a side, me or Frank James. I mean, that's one of the possible outcomes, but I actually believe that my child was not difficult to raise, ESTP or no. She was a very good kid, a little hyper, sure, but a little much when she was young. People were always telling her, okay, it's too much. Even last night, she came over here and she just totally dominated the conversation the whole time. Just was talking the whole time. But I love it. It lets me take a break as an extrovert. Yes, Cloud, tell me a secret. Here's the thing. I disagree entirely with the notion that people should be denied knowledge because you don't trust how they're going to use it. That's fundamentally a flawed notion. Is that your secret? That's not a secret, Cloud. That you are every type in the world is already well established. Look, one of the reasons why you need to know about MBTI is so you can know what pieces of advice are bullshit. If I know I'm an FE user, TI, then I can know when somebody tells me, you need to worry less about what other people think, that I can give them one of these and one of these, That's important. If there's some sort of thing that everyone's supposed to be good at, hi Fawan, hi Richard Barbetta, then, and you're not any good at it, then at least you can understand why. Kids are not dumb. I mean, dumb kids are dumb, but kids in general are not dumb. It's not true. Now, nobody's going to dispute that. Obviously, you have to take care when talking to kids about whatever. How can a 10-year-old be aware of FE versus FI? I mean, Cloud, the thing is, fortunately, cognitive functions isn't an F thing. So thinkers are able to understand it quite well, quite early. TI people can understand it no problem. And, it's like a lot of people, well, take me, for example. I think I would have been much better off knowing about cognitive functions when I was growing up than not knowing about them, which is how it was for me. I didn't figure out, when I finally determined that I was an ENTP, which just looking at type descriptions, wasn't looking at cognitive functions at all, I burst into tears because like, oh, so that's why I'm so weird. No, it's not, Clouds. That's ridiculous. Remember, we're talking about an intellectual model, an abstract model of something. Okay, so it may be true to understand human experience, you need emotional intelligence, but not the abstractions. That's where you struggle because you lack the TI kind of intelligence that's necessary to understand it. Kids aren't dumb. They're just... How old is the stream? 6 minutes and 50 seconds. How old are you? Are you older than 6 minutes and 50 seconds? No, Cloud. F is what psychology studies, but the study of something is not the same thing as the thing itself. That's the problem that you have with the difficulty of distinguishing between symbols and things themselves. That comes with being TI polar. I'm awake. Do I still seem like I'm sleeping? I did just get up from a nap, but I am actually about as rested as I ever get. Look at my face right now. See this? Normally it's like this. It's pretty flat right now. That means I'm very rested. No, remember, Cloud, we're not talking about understanding humans. We're talking about understanding a psychological model or an abstract model. That's different. That's what I keep trying to explain to you, but the TI polar is getting in the way. Did Rachel put more water in this? Or change the water in this? I keep getting kisses from the bong. Cloud, I'm not brushing off your point. I'm acknowledging that F is very important to understand human beings, and I'm pointing out that the abstract model is a different thing than a human being. That's not lazy, that's correct. You're being lazy because you're ignoring my points. I am explaining why you're ignoring my points and how it's going to be difficult for you to not ignore my points. No, an abstract model is not as close as possible to a human being. It's a model of process interactions. Process interactions is not the same thing as a human being. For goodness sakes. Instead of making children take the MBTI, force them to be ENTJs. Good idea. Anonymous Random Zero. Good idea. Why do the inventions models require NE? Why do the inventions models? Why does the invention of models require NE? Well, it doesn't necessarily. It could be. I agree the point of models is to reflect, not to reflect the territory, it's to represent the territory, to make communicable those aspects of the territory that are communicable, okay? You need to understand that certain aspects of the territory are not communicable and certain aspects are. And so when you're complaining that the communicable aspects are inadequate because they don't include the non-communicable aspects, you are making a category error. Oh, well, you're asked to come up with multiple possible names for something. So it's like NI third slot tends to come up with one good name, and then really struggle coming up with other possible divergent names from it. So let's say I was NE backside, but I still had some decent NE. I might say, well, a combination between a cup and a bong. It's like a coffee cup with a bong attached to it. Very terrible idea. You call it, the coffee bong, or you could call it the puff and amp, or you can call it the sip and smoker. And the thing is, those are very kind of different approaches to it. Now, if I were to say I had just one approach to it, I'd say something like, well, it's the coffee bong. I say, okay, well, what's another one? The coffee pipe? All right, what's another one? The Java bong, the Java pipe. So you'll see those are not very different from each other, right? Those are variations of the same thing. So that's why I think you can tell some things about NE with the invention question. And I wish I had asked it of Paulina. I just forgot about that question when son, daughter. You know how sometimes people smile when they aren't actually happy or don't really like you, but you want you to think they are or do that or do anyway? Well, Cloud, the point is, fake smiles are not exclusive to FE users, but a fake smile intended to manage the perceptions of another is an example of an FE process. Clyde, you sure are presumptuous about the lack of ability of other people. I mean, I teach children all the time. I disagree with you entirely. Some children are much smarter than the adults I encounter in the world all the time. Depends on a lot of things. Depends on what you're trying to teach. Hot black smoke pole is probably the best name for it. Horse Mumbler one. Although I do like Boffy Kong. Boffy Kong's a great name as well. See, now that's good NE right there. Hot black smoke pole. That's just fantastic NE. Just like bam, like a big firework in the sky kind of NE, I'm talking about 4th grade through the end of middle school. I'm talking the same age range, not 7. I'm saying, I mean, 7 is 2nd grade. I'm talking 10 through 15, something like that, 9 through 15. 4th grade is about as young as I ever teach. So I don't really like teaching little kids. But I have taught kids younger than 4th grade. I've taught 3rd grade before. And, even they can understand some concepts. The point is, we shouldn't presume that an individual human being cannot understand something just because they're small. Some little kids are very smart and can understand shit right away and need it. Who needs cognitive functions most as a little kid? ENTPs, INTPs, INFJs. Maybe ENFJs. So they can understand what's going on a little bit. Being a weirdo. What's a stoner gorilla, Eric? It's donkey bong. Yeah, I should have asked them to that ISB chick. I wish I had. I wish I had remembered it. That's sort of 4th spot SI, One of the ways of understanding extroverted intuition is to That bong rib knocked the knocked the line of thought out of me. A bit of a bell ringer. So I appreciate today. Rachel and I had a little bit of a, not even a spat, but like we weren't liking each other very much last night. We went on this drive. Rachel was being kind of snotty. I see your post, Dale in Black. I'm sorry if I'm not reading them aloud. We drove all the way to get weed, and the first place we went to had a long line, so we went to a different place. And Rachel was starting to say some like, I don't like I don't like this, I don't like that. When she gets kind of nasty, it starts with a litany of things in the world that she doesn't like, which is sometimes kind of like weird, such as she was starting in on how no, it was fine. It was totally fine. This is a story with a very happy ending. Okay, let me clarify that. She was being like how she hates how Dakota Fanning thinks her name is all cool or whatever, but it's not, because there's a car called the Dakota. I'm just like, okay. So I asked her like, well, what makes you think Dakota Fanning thinks her name's all cool? She's just like, well, she's an actress. That's like when Rachel's just like being in a shitty mood and you're starting to shit on stuff, which happens occasionally. But I just, whatever. I just didn't really respond to it. And then later on, she she got mad at me because I was drinking a warm Coke and had been making fun of my dad for drinking warm Diet Coke when I was growing up. He used to always have a warm Diet Coke in his car. I was chatting with her the other day, sort of teasing my dad about that old habit. Like, who would drive around with just drinking warm Diet Coke all the time? Well, I happened to take a Coke in the car with me, which was cold when I took it into the car. By the time we were driving home, it was warm. And she said, that irks me that you would say all this stuff about your dad doing that. I was like, I wasn't talking shit about my dad. I was just, sort of enjoying an odd quirk of his in an amused fashion, So anyway, we successfully managed to not fight. I said, listen, I can tell you've been trying to pick a fight, but I'm not playing that game. And I was basically, we didn't talk the rest of the way home. We listened to some music. Got home. I crashed out. She crashed out in a different room. And then this morning, not this morning, this afternoon, a little while ago, she came in and she apologized. She was, she's back to herself again. She just had a bad evening, or not even a bad evening. She was just feeling, well, because she's on PMS is why, she's about to start her period. So, so she's in a little bit of a nasty mood sometimes, which is fine. And but the point is, the good news about this whole thing is that's totally within the range of normal chick stuff, right? Just completely normal chick stuff. Chicks sometimes have that shit going down and they get a little snotty and whatever, right? Totally normal, acceptable range of things. If that's PMS now, instead of what we had last month, which was PMS without the right meds, which was just a complete meltdown, then we're golden. I got no problems, I can take a little bit of a little snarkiness. Like Zaylin says, everybody has those kind of days. Everybody does. Men, women, everybody. It's true that it seems to correlate pretty strongly with chicks and their period, no matter what chick you're talking about. Delilah's more whiny about it rather than attacky. I would say that's a little bit of a difference. But No, lawnmower. Life is not a miserable existence. Life is an endless delight. Okay, with periodic dark moments interspersing, like flies in the ointment, right? Fairness is the only absolute truth in this pathetic realm. It's not pathetic either, it's spectacular. We just have to own the wonder. We have to own the wonder. I don't fake smile really at all, Leon Black, as far as I know. People can read me like a book. Lawnmower, that's ridiculous. I absolutely, yes, Cloud, that's a better way to put it. Life is endless delight with periodic yeah. Lawnmower, it's ridiculous. I trust plenty of women. Just because they get a little off their rocker during period time, not a big deal. I can deal with that. No big whoop. If she hasn't actually started bleeding yet, because I think she may not have actually started bleeding, and you know what that means. If I can finagle it, it means humping without having to pull. You know, so if you're gonna have your period tomorrow, there's no chance she's really gonna get pregnant. So I can just, I can just dump my 6 quarts of man seed up inside of her uterus. I do not have beta quadra eyes. I have alpha quadra eyes. Alpha quadra eyes. Yeah, eyes on the prize is right. Eyes on the prize regarding that, Ethan McDonald. The truth is, I have what are called laughing eyes. That's a dangerous game, man. Hey, listen, she ovulates like 2 weeks in. If it's got like 1 day till period, it's safe. It's safe. I might have tired ISFJ eyes. Got alpha quadra eyes. I would say that primed to win some chicks on the farm tonight. You are? Are you primed to win some chicks on the farm tonight? Anyway, that's why I like this moment in time too. It's got a benefit that goes along with the meow. Because it's really a lot nicer when you don't have to pull out, you know. You know, the first person who told me I had laughing eyes was an INFJ I knew in high school named Jack Chang. And he said that to me. Yes, I do see what you did there. You did an ALF email. In fact, I'm glad you asked me if I saw what you did there because it was going to escape my notice. It deserves to not have escaped my notice. And I'm glad you made sure that it didn't escape my notice because ALF. Okay. So what would you say that is? That thing that says, I kill me. Is it New York? Is he New York? Is Alf from New York? That's what I want to know. Is his personality a New York personality or maybe like a Philadelphia personality? A combination fishing pole and penis? The poking fish? The meat angler? It's definitely New York, says Lawnmower. Definitely Northeast. A New York Jew. Okay, because it's not Long Island, right? I've learned I feel like I know Long Island pretty well now because of being with Rachel. It's got that whole "I'm from Long Island" kind of thing going on, you know. So it's not Long Island. So it's is it more like um someplace? Is it like Manhattan or what's another part? Urban Italian and Jewish people. Watch where you aim. The one trick stick. No, it's got two tricks though. But it had to give up so much more ground, and we know so much more. And any other time in history, we couldn't even have this conversation, or we would be having it at the cost of our own lives. Religion comes now in the smiley tone in this ingratiating way because it had to give up so much ground, and we know so much more. I agree with you about that in general, Odderna media. But you shouldn't forget how it acted when it was in charge when it was strong. Well, I mean, I would tend to agree with you that religion shouldn't be in charge. I mean, that's why we should have a separation between church and state. And there should be. Now, that's ridiculous, though, Ordina. Religion's not child abuse. I was raised an atheist, and I'm a Christian now. Well, good for you. I have no idea how to pronounce that name. I'm going to pronounce it. Looks like Ol Galal Jaka. Ol Galal Jaka. Well, I gave up drinking alcohol. I still smoke cigarettes. I still smoke marijuana. What does that have to do with anything? You have a talent in reading faces? What does my face say right now? What emotion is this? I don't like quitting cigarettes, so I'm not going to quit. We could go, you quit caffeine with speed. Like quitting Tylenol with heroin. All Gialista. Are NE users more likely to smoke marijuana than SE users? I believe that to be the case, although it's just anecdotal. I have no reason to think that should be the case. There's no logic to it. It's just an anecdotal observation on my part. It seems to be the case, yes, that more NE users smoke marijuana than SE users. Get out of here. Get out of here with that Karl Marx quote. You get out of here. That's fine. You can put your Karl Marx quote. Herpaderpitude? Oh, no. Hey. Listen. All Galal Jaka. Listen up. Don't you stay on topic me, mister. You do not stay on topic me. All right? I'm not going to stay on topic. That's not where it's at around here, okay? I'm not a stay on topic kind of guy. You get out of here, you with your stay on topic. Hola, hi, David Grandin. Antibiotics? What's called antibiotics? Anti-religion people it's just so adolescent. It's like, yes, obviously bad applications of religion are terrible. So is forced atheism as per communism. That's terrible too. If you're really going to render religion into child abuse, then you're advocating essentially for forced atheism, right? We've already seen how terrible that is. You let people think and feel what they want to believe, Why not? There are aspects of life that can only be meaningfully addressed by magical thinking or by acknowledging you don't know. But some of those things that require magical thinking are important to know if you're going to proceed in life meaningfully. And so, as a consequence, you should have communistic atheism wasn't real atheism. It was the official rejection of faith. I mean, what else do you want it to be? Do you want brain hemorrhager? I don't know what brain hemorrhager is. What I'm telling you is that there's no reason that faith-based behaviors ought to be condemned, provided, well, and that's, you have faith in the worst thing of all then, ordinum media. That's the absolute rejection of one's own moral agency in favor of an amoral negativism that serves no one, including the self, well, and is self-contradictory, because if nihilism is correct, then the words you use to justify it are meaningless. Okay, well, look. Believing things and doing things are different. Okay, Sky Gear, I'm taking that away just because it's a little provocative, right? I didn't say religion has a claim on your soul. I'm saying faith-based behaviors are not necessarily affirmations and negations. For example, I can pray without affirming the existence of anything or without ascribing to any religious text. You don't seem to understand this. You're making a category error. You're assuming that magical thinking ought to validate according to rationalist thinking. But of course, if it did, it wouldn't be magical thinking. Duh. Do you hear what I'm saying? I'm not saying any religious belief should be in charge. I'm saying faith is a behavior. And to the extent that it takes on the form of an affirmation, then that's where we get into trouble. But you're not listening to me. I've already won all these arguments. So, ordinum media. Today, you became exposed to what a sophisticated and nuanced set of arguments about faith and religion sound like. You'll note how I'm not. This is the point. We're not talking about belief as a thing that you retain. I don't retain these beliefs that function as affirmations and arguments. Okay? It's a category error. It's very simple. I don't understand why people don't get this. Maybe you should respond to what I'm saying, ulterior motive. Motif. Ulterior motif. That's your name, huh? That's pretty clever. Since you don't want to respond to what I'm saying, then you can't possibly. No, it's very possible to win the argument. I've established it's a category error. Nobody's disputed this in any meaningful way, so it stands. So that's the winning argument. How can one tell whether they are high tool FE versus FI? Do FE individuals also have a strong inward emotions going on when someone is disrespecting them? If so, what's the difference between the two? Okay, so yeah, FE people still have strong FI emotions. It's just that they're not paying attention to them when making decisions in social interactions. They're paying attention to the other people's emotions. So, FE people are likely to say, well, we're going to go. It'll be fine. I'll be fine. I just hope those people over there aren't fussy. Whereas FI people will be like, those people can worry about their own emotions. I'm worried about how I'm going to feel. What's a category error? Okay, so here's an example of a category error. If you say that duck is an atheist, it's not a false statement. It's a category error. A false statement would be to say something like, that duck has the ability to be an atheist or a Christian. That would be a false statement because ducks can't be atheists, Christians, Hindu, or anything like that. Okay. So it is incorrect to say that if I say that duck's an atheist, you might say false. No, it's not true or false. It's a category error. It's like saying that desk is a good runner. That desk is a good runner is a category error. It's not a false statement because the thing that's being claimed that it's a good runner is a category of thing that it can't possibly be. So statements about how well it runs are not false. They're representative of a category error. And this is the mistake that atheists make all the time. They insist that because one engages in a faith-based behavior such as prayer, that one agrees with affirmations that one could infer from that behavior. That's the category error. Of course, magical thinking is not the sort of thing that sustains on rationalist justifications, and naturally, any attempt to do so is going to find that it doesn't sustain. To continue to insist that because it doesn't sustain on rationalist justifications, that it ought to be dismissed entirely is the fundamental mistake of the atheist. At least the ardent atheist. There are plenty of atheists out there who don't care and come in here and make arguments about it. But no, wait. No, is ascension the belief in nothing? Yes or no? What do you mean by ascension? I don't know what you mean by ascension. Like I said, I'm not making arguments about God because I'm smart. So I'm not saying here's a way to contradict this magical thinking notion with logic. Why am I not saying that? Why? Because I'm smart. And I understand that naturally a magical thinking modality is not going to, definitionally, is not going to sustain on logical metrics. But of course, Adrena is much more interested in his advocacy than in the truth. Okay? Well, of course, that's a self-defeating statement. To the extent that Adrena Media is saying that believing in nothing is a higher form of believing. Believing in nothing is an oxymoron because belief is the acting as though something were true in the absence of evidence or in the face of contrary evidence. But Adrena Media, that's absolutely false. Christianity doesn't cause brain damage. I'm a Christian. Do I seem brain damaged? I'm whipping your ass in this argument. You seem a little brain damaged. I mean, to believe in nothing is to say I ascribe my faith towards the belief that nothing should have faith. You should have faith in nothing. But of course, you're having faith in that, so it's self-defeating. And since you're trying to use a rationalist metric to justify your nihilism, you're screwed because you can't justify rationally something that requires you to make fundamentally self-defeating arguments like that. What's the difference between belief and faith? Faith is the willful application of belief towards something in which there is a lack of evidence or evidence to the contrary. Again, you're trying to, I don't know what you mean by bass versus tone. I don't know what you mean by that. Regardless, you're ignoring my point about drawing distinctions between affirmations and magical thinking modalities. You continue to ignore it because you can't defeat it. I win. You lose. What place does faith have in our lives? I don't know. I can tell you what place faith has in my life. I don't make affirmations regarding what other people should do with faith. No, I'm not affirming a solution either. I'm not saying that magical thinking is desirable because of outcome-based reasons. I'm saying it's desirable because it provides an answer to questions that aren't answerable in any either way. And if you want to take a stance as a positivist morally, then you need to employ magical thinking. Now, does that mean it's justified by the outcomes? No. It's justified by the inherent principle that it's better to be a moral agent than not. I mean, it's definitionally inherently so that being a moral agent is good. It's implicit to the definition of moral agent. If you believe in that people that people do in fact behave in ways that get evaluated on moral metrics, then you believe people are moral agents, whether you like it or not. You might believe it's stupid that people are moral agents, but nevertheless, you agree that they are. In other words, I repeat this because it's very important and very simple. If you agree, which you most certainly do, that people get evaluated on moral metrics, then you agree that people are moral agents. You may not agree with the specifics of a given morality. You may not agree that it's good that people are moral agents. You may not think we ought to be moral agents in some sense. That's another moral perspective. But regardless, you agree that we are. So the question then is, do you want to be, which side of the equation do you want to be on? If there is in fact a moral agency, then we have to make determinations about what manifests that moral agency. But we can only make logical determinations about that moral agency on the negative aspect of things. In other words, what we ought not do. We can't use logic to justify what we ought to do, and that's where magical thinking comes in. People always think that they're coming in to these conversations equals. You're not, or odd enough. You're not even close. Just to warn you. I mean, it doesn't mean you can't come in and act like it. Sure you can. But if you want to be smart, you'll recognize the fact that you don't know.
Fuck, that's hard.
As much as you think you do, and you should listen to me and learn some good arguments, because right now you've got shitty ones. You're losing. How was your ride?
Good. I saw your dad. I always see your dad when I go for a ride.
Yeah? What did you have to say?
Nothing. I said howdy. Just passing by.
So anyway, it's like I've talked about this whole religion thing before.
I'm surprised you say you're Christian.
You're surprised I say I'm Christian?
Yeah.
Why?
I guess because I'm not.
Oh, well, I don't care whether you are or not.
Well,
I have no perspective. I have no opinion on what other people should do with their magical thinking. I just point out that my magical thinking is absolutely legitimate. In other words, my magical thinking does validate on a rationalist metric more than your lack of magical thinking does, because I have it properly meta-framed, but you don't. So that's why I'm going to continue to win the arguments. How is that brain damage? Now you're just tossing insults out there. I mean, unless you're trying to justify something with that insult, in which case it's an ad hominem fallacy. So I don't know what to tell you, man. Troll's gonna troll, yeah. But see, this is the beautiful thing about trolls. When trolls come in and start off kind of serious and then devolve into nonsense, you know that they've prompted a good response from me. I am not party to that nonsense. Okay, I am not party in any way, shape, or form, any BLM nonsense. As a fluidly transracial person, I'm the one who attains the maximal amount of racial disadvantage. So I'm the only one who can claim any sort of race shit, and I'm not bothering. Are you a Christian, Eric? Yes, I believe I'm a Christian. You believe in Jesus Christ and the stories and all that. As I've said before, I see Christianity is comprised of two basic principles. One is reciprocal burdens, and one is kindness. In other words, it comprises justice and mercy. The mercy part is the positive moral indication that can't be justified logically. The justice part is the part that's consistent with logical justice. So when I pray to Jesus and God and the Holy
I
Ghost.
pray to God. I don't pray to Jesus.
But I don't see it as.
Just blame it on my period. So.
But of course, what I understand about it is that it's not something that I'm going to ever argue with anybody about. If they don't, I don't give a fuck. Why would I care at all?
The when you should care is if you're raising kids, right?
No.
Why?
My set of beliefs is my set of beliefs. I'm not going to try to impose it on anybody else.
Okay.
Obviously.
I would like to talk. I had two things I wanted to ask.
Yeah, sure. All right, I'm going to end this stream. Bye, everybody.